Hello, everyone. On this podcast episode, I'm going to talk about something and nothing. I'm going to try to explain something and nothing, more clearly for you guys to understand. The two concepts are equal and opposites, and if you follow the rules of duality, equal and opposites are always one. And they always exist simultaneously as one. So something and nothing, right? Something's equal and opposite is nothing. And the equal and opposite of nothing is something. And if you follow the rules of duality, like I said before, these two equal opposites must always be one. The only difference between the two of them is perspective. Perspective determines whether something is something or it's nothing. So I'll give you an example with, space. From the perspective of most people, right? From the perspective of our eyes, space itself is empty, right? When you look around you and you're looking into space, outer space, you see it as a vacuum filled with absolutely nothing, right? But that's an illusion created by something. Something and nothing, exist simultaneously as one. So although space looks empty, right? If you follow the logic of duality, space must also be what? Filled with something. Although space looks empty, it must also be full. Empty and full are equal and opposites. And just like the law of duality, states, space itself isn't empty. It is filled with energy. It only appears empty from our perspective. From a different perspective, space itself is filled with energy. And our bodies are also, follow the same principle. Our bodies are filled with stuff, cells, molecules, atoms, organs, blood, tissues. Our body is full, right? From our perspective, our bodies are filled with something. It is completely packed with something, right? But the law of duality states that something is the equal and opposite of nothing, right? And since they must exist simultaneously as one, guess what? It's true with our bodies as well. Scientists have always said that our bodies only appear to be full from our perspective. Our bodies are not full. It is composed of empty space. Most of our body is empty space, just like space out there. Just like space outside of Earth, that's how our body looks. Just as empty and wide. It's filled with empty space. But it doesn't appear as if it's full with empty space, does it? It appears full. It appears whole, without any openings whatsoever. But that's an illusion. Something is an illusion created by nothing, and nothing is an illusion created by something. Although something appears empty, it is not empty. And although something appears full, it is not full. It is both empty and full. It is both full and empty. Perspective determines what's empty. Perspective determines what's full. Perspective determines what's nothing. And perspective determines what's something. So I'm going to have you guys do an exercise, to show you how something and nothing works, right? I'm going to have you guys do it in a simple exercise. Imagine a room filled with something, just air, right? The room is filled with energy. A massive room filled with energy, right? And then you take everything away, including the room. Make everything disappear. So imagine a world where everything has disappeared. The room, the space inside of it, everything has vanished, what do you have left? When everything, when you imagine a world where everything has disappeared, what's left? Nothing, right? Nothing will be left when everything in the world has disappeared. But if you follow the rules of duality, nothing and something must exist simultaneously as one, right? So when everything inside the world has disappeared, nothing will still be left, right? When the entire world has disappeared and everything in the world, energy, matter, everything is gone, right? There will still be something left. Even when there's absolutely nothing left inside that world, there will still be something left. And that something is nothing itself. The very concept of nothing, that vacuum, that void that exists when nothing is left, is still something. Do you see how weird this world is? Even when there's nothing left inside this world and it's all empty, there will still be something left. Emptiness itself, that is still something. Emptiness itself is still something. And since emptiness is something, it is still energy. That's how something and nothing works. You can never get rid of something from nothing. They must exist simultaneously as one. Even when all things in this world disappear, there will still be a concept left. There will still be something left. And that something is nothing. Nothing itself, that very idea, that very concept is something. So that's how something and nothing works. These two are equal and opposites. And equal and opposites always exist simultaneously as one. That's why our bodies, which are composed of empty space, is still filled with something and still appears full, as if it's fully composed of something. And that's why space itself, that is completely empty of everything else, still has something inside of it, energy. Because even if you remove all energy in this world, there will still be something left. And that something is nothing. And nothing, implies, something implies stuff. Something implies energy. So you can never truly get rid of energy because energy and something are the same. You can never truly get rid of, you can't, not say you can get rid of energy, you just can't get rid of God. Because this world is a world governed by God. Everything in this world is God, including energy. Energy is the form that God takes in this world. And energy takes the form of matter, atoms, protons, neutrons, and electrons. And these protons, neutrons, and electrons take the form of what? Cars, planes, houses, buildings, planets, stars, galaxies, and suns. So it goes from little to large. And people who don't believe that God exists are lying. Because if you follow the rules of duality, just like I showed you before, it's very easy to prove that God exists. The world appears unintelligent, right? Because the world appears unintelligent, it proves that the world is intelligent. These two dualities must exist simultaneously as one. The reason why we can explain the rules of this world, because the rules of this world are logical. The reasons why we can understand the world is because the world is logical. The world is intelligent. Intelligent beings can understand something that's not intelligent. We can't understand something that's illogical. The fact that we can understand the world proves that the world is logical, that the world is intelligent. So although the world appears illogical from one perspective, the world isn't illogical whatsoever. Although the rules of this world appear chaotic from one perspective, there's no chaos within this world. Everything is logical. Everything follows a pattern. Everything follows complete control. It only appears chaotic from your perspective. From a different perspective, there's no such thing as chaos. Just like space only appears empty from your perspective. From a different perspective, there's no emptiness in space. Space is full, 100% full. Although this world appears as if there's no one controlling it, this world is under God's complete control. Because God is omnipresent. God is everything. Although this world appears as if everyone is living their own separate lives and no one is connected to each other, and no one is, there's no higher control over this world, you're wrong. Because it appears as if nothing is under control, proves that this equal and opposite is true. This world is fully under God's control. Although this world appears unintelligent, that very concept of unintelligence proves that this world is intelligent. All equal and opposites must exist simultaneously as one. The fact that the world looks unintelligent proves that the world is filled with intelligence. The fact that the world appears as if it's not one being proves that this world is one massive being. You're living inside the body of God. That's why God is omnipresent. Everything in this world is God. That's why you don't see God anywhere. When you become everything, you turn into nothing. That's how duality works. And because God is everything, that's why you never see God anywhere. Because He is everything. That's how omnipresence works. When you become everything, you turn into nothing. Because when people look around you, they don't see you. They see houses, they see stars, they see planets, they see galaxies, they see energy. They don't see you. That's how your body works as well. Because because you're omnipresent within your body, the same thing is occurring within your body. When your cells look around, they don't see you. They see blood cells, skin cells, heart cells, vein cells, artery cells. They only see organ cells. They don't see you. Because every cell they see, everything around them is you. Because everything around them is you, they can't see you. They only see the cells. That's how this world works. Because everything in your body is you. The things within your body do not see you. The cells within your bodies do not see you. They only see cells. You don't exist in their world. Because everything in your body is you, you turn into nothing. From the perspective of your very cells, they don't see you as a human being. They see you as a bundle of cells. That's all you are, a bundle of cells. Not one whole human being. And that's how this world works as well. From our perspective, all we see are planets, stars, galaxies, the universe, and maybe, black holes and all that, But we don't see God itself because God is everything. God is you. The very cells in your body, look around and all they see is cells, without realizing that their very existence is you. Every cell in your body is you. But these cells live on their own. They have their own lives to live. From their perspective, you don't exist. Only from your perspective do you exist. From their perspective, from the perspective of your own cells, you don't exist. They exist, not you. That's how it works with God as well. Scientists look around, all they see is energy, planets, galaxies, and atoms. And they just automatically assume that because they don't see God's physical form, He automatically does not exist. But that's not how this works. It's because God is everything. That's why you don't see God. So instead of seeing God, you see a tree. Instead of seeing God, you see your own hands. Instead of seeing God, you see a planet. You see a star. You see empty space. You see the world. You don't see God. Because God is everything. This is how duality works. Because God is everything, he becomes nothing. Because you're everything within your body. From the point of view of your cells, you are absolutely nothing. You don't exist. You don't exist and you never will. That's how duality works. Because the world appears separate, proves that the world is whole. Because the world appears empty, proves that the world is full. And because the world appears full, proves that the world is empty. All dualities must exist simultaneously as one. Because the world appears to be unintelligent and random, proves that the world is under God's complete control. That's how this world works. It is a world of duality. In the world of duality, all opposites must exist simultaneously as one. One. Because it's one God. God is one God. That one God created everything. Because everything exists within God, God exists within everything. And that's what the Bible states itself. God himself states that I create existence. I create all existences because only I exist. I am because I am. That's what Yahweh means. I am because I am. I create all existences because only I exist. Only God exists in this world. But because only God exists in this world, God doesn't exist. That's how this world works. Because only God exists in this world, God doesn't exist. We do. And because we exist, it proves that God exists. Because God exists through us. Energy can only exist because of God. Life can only exist because of God. Intelligence can only exist because of God. Unintelligence can also only exist because of God. Because God is everything. Because God is everything, God is also nothing. So that's it for today's podcast episode. Nothing doesn't truly exist. Because nothing will always be something. And something doesn't truly exist because something will always be nothing. These two dualities must always exist simultaneously as one. And that's how our world works. It's a world where opposites always exist simultaneously as one. I'll talk to you guys later. I pray for everyone's safety and understanding. Amen.